welcome back to my channel. My name is Eddie, as known as Mottaskin on Instagram, YouTube, and now TikTok. And where I cover skincare, basically all the skincare. Today's video, we're going to be covering a really talked about sunscreen, and that is the Glow Recipe Watermelon Sunscreen. Yes, Glow Recipe finally came out with the sunscreen in their signature watermelon line. So we're going to discuss everything from the chemical UV filters to the ingredients to price point to how it works and what other content creators have been saying since the launch of this guy and how Glow Recipe has come into the launch of this, and it's going to be an interesting one, so stay tuned for the whole video. If all of that sounds really good, I'm going to ask you to please hit that subscribe button and like this video, and if you leave a beautiful comment, I would absolutely appreciate that. Any engagement with my video helps me out immensely and helps me to continue to do this as my job. Alright, let's get into it. Packaging. Look how beautiful that is. I even wore a t-shirt to kind of match it for this video. It's such a beautiful ombre color that I am obsessed with. Actually, we need more skincare brands to adopt this ombre kind of color scheme. Here it is, beautiful in the watermelon signature. I'm going to take her out. Boom, and there she is. Looks just like their watermelon line, their dewdrops and their glow mist and everything. Even has that nice sheen, giving you a hint that it's going to give you that dewy glass skin finish. So let's get into what the product is. So this retails for $34 USD. It is a combination sunscreen, meaning that it has a mixture of physical UV filters and chemical UV filters. The physical UV filter in here is actually zinc oxide 12.1%. It has 3 different types of chemical UV filters. It has homosalate, octisalate, and octocrylene. And when a company does a combination sunscreen, really what they're trying to do is help it fit more skin tones. Because this is non-tinted, we're actually kind of aware that the mineral UV filter might leave a white cast on deeper skin tones, maybe even medium to tan skin tones. But in their ads showing my black community applying it, apparently it leaves no white cast. And when they make a combination sunscreen, it's supposed to not leave a white cast for basically all skin tones. So that's one of the claims for them, that it's supposed to fit a lot of people. But that doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone. It still has chemical UV filters, so it might make your eyes watery. It still has a physical UV filter, so it still might leave a white cast despite it being a combination sunscreen. That's why we have to test it out. And when it comes to making combination sunscreens, it can be finicky, I have found, because the process of it forming a film over your skin can be hard to do without coming into some issues. Okay, so let's talk about ingredients in this sunscreen. So obviously this is from the watermelon line, and the biggest thing the watermelon line has is watermelon fruit extract, of course, but also niacinamide, as stated in the sunscreen bottle. So those are the 2 top winners in the skincare category when it comes to this. But it also has some accompanying ingredients that I will read off here. It has aloe vera extract, it has copper gluconate, zinc gluconate, and it also has lactic acid and sodium hyaluronate. So it's really going to help hydrate the skin and soothe the skin and provide it that nutrition it needs. But honestly, you're paying for the watermelon in here because the watermelon is where it's at with Glow Recipe. They know what they're doing when it comes to that extract. Now, this comes out as a nice lotion right here, as you can see, and it spreads out rather nicely, and it smells like their watermelon scent, not intensely, and it is mixed in with that nice sunscreen smell that you have from sunscreens, right? So it smells like a watermelon sunscreen. And here it is, the texture, and I don't know if you can already tell something going on with this sunscreen, but here's your little preview before we get into that discussion. So I was not part of their PR. I bought this all with my own money, and I was not sent this beforehand or anything. So I got to see a lot of content creators on social media talk about this sunscreen. And because I talk with a lot of them, because I'm a content creator myself, I got to know the real tea behind this sunscreen in the background. And a lot of people had started mentioning, the people who didn't rave about this sunscreen were mentioning that this was pilling on them. And I noticed a lot of content creators, as well as Glow Recipe themselves, were giving instructions on how to apply this sunscreen, which is weird because there's not really a way to apply sunscreen. You're just supposed to put it on your skin. It's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be mess-free. So when I started seeing all that, I got like a flag in my mind. And then when content creators themselves started to say, yeah, it peeled when I didn't let my skincare dry down, or it peeled if I put too much at once. And then they started giving tips, use a little bit at a time, work in sections. And then I saw Glow Recipe say, don't rub it in, but like spread it out and pat it in, which is like, I don't know about you. I don't want to spend like an hour patting in my sunscreen. I just want to go boom, blend it out, no worries whatsoever. So I reached out to a couple content creators for comments. So I'm going to put here a conversation and a photo of a content creator on Instagram. Her name is Jasmine, as known as Wine on Silk on Instagram. She has some beautiful content and beautiful glowing skin, so definitely give her a follow. But she was one of the individuals who tried the Glow Recipe before me. And she did mention and showed photos of how her skin started to look with the sunscreen on. Top skincare that did not sink in, and then when she used less skincare and let it sink in and worked in sections, and it did not peel when she did that. So it takes finesse, it takes work. Now she did also mention that she actually doesn't care that she has to do that because it gives her a nice glow. She loves the results, so she's willing to put in that work for that finish. So that is her, and that might be you. But for some people, and for myself, that's a big no-no. Like for me, I don't want my sunscreen to be work. If anything, I want a complexion product to be work because at least that is trying to make your skin look good. I want sunscreen to be easy. I want it to do its 15-minute thing to form a film. I want to reapply it in the middle of the day and not think about peeling or think about any issues. So as you can tell from my footage, I did the first application and I put it on my skin and I worked it in sections just like I was told. And as you can tell, it immediately started peeling. Now, I did also make sure my skincare sunk in. And I will say this, I do use like a full regimen. I cleanse in the morning, I use toner, I use essence, 2 serums, moisturizer. But I will say, I know my skin, and I know when things lay on top of my skin. The skincare I am using right now and the moisturizer I'm using right now sinks in like that. It does not sit on my skin. So I gave it 20 minutes to sink in before I went in with the sunscreen, and I did it in sections. And it still peeled, which was like ew, ew, ew. Now, it did deliver glow, but the moment I got close to the camera or close to the mirror, I was like, what is all this? What is all that? I was like, no, 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 no. And that is just straight off the bat, I knew. I listened to the instructions and that wasn't even enough. So I have to follow these instructions and tips given by content creators and Glow Recipe to a T in order for it to work. Or literally just use a toner and that's it. Or a moisturizer. Keep it very simple. But that's not me. I love my skincare steps. Alright, now reapplication on top of itself. So I blended it in. I tried to take away all the pilling up. I tried to make my skin cleaner. I have a cleaner canvas, and I applied it maybe like 3 hours later. And so you can see from the application, I put it on again, and this time it felt a little bit more white casty. It was not like the first time where it was like, okay, this would disappear into my skin. No, it was like, whoa, there's some white cast going on. It's building on top of itself, and it still peeled. And it was like, oh, this sucks. And it was the same like the first time. So I know it's the formula. I know it's not me. I know it's not the sunscreen reacting with itself. It might be actually because it's a combination sunscreen. And as I said, combination sunscreens are a little difficult to formulate. And that's one of the issues with combination sunscreens. They tend to peel. And that's what's going on with this sunscreen. But with white cast, it didn't give me a white cast after blended in, so yay to them for that. That's amazing, and I've seen other black content creators say the same thing. It does not give them a white cast, so that is wonderful. Now, the glow it gives is beautiful. It's a beautiful glow, and I wish this sunscreen could work without the peeling because that glow is beautiful, but the moment you see someone's skin and then you see all this white stuff all over, doesn't matter if you're glowing. That's all people are going to see. That's all you're going to see. So that's one finicky issue about this sunscreen, and it sucks because the ingredient is great, the packaging is great, even the outside packaging, the watermelon scent, the ingredients, the fact that it's a combination sunscreen, the fact that people with deeper skin tones were thought about, were put into consideration. All beautiful. Unfortunately, when it comes to their approach to combination sunscreen, it gave that pilling effect that I absolutely despise. Like, I despise it. And lastly, how did this work with the complexion product? Well, let's be honest here. If it's balling up, pilling up, it's already not having a nice smooth canvas for any makeup to go on top or any complexion product to go on top. So I was already kind of going, okay. So honestly, look at the footage. I put on a color corrector that I'm using that is not released yet, and I put it on my skin, and you know, I got the results. On camera it might look nice, but the moment you get up close, you see that it's all patchy and it's not the best canvas for makeup products. You might be able to hide it if you like take away all the balling pieces and everything, but honestly, it wasn't my favorite. I wasn't expecting anything to lay on top of it really nice. But with that being said, if it doesn't ball up or pill for you, this might be a really good base for complexion products because it'll give you that glowy dewy base. It'll moisturize your skin, and that's another thing. I did feel moisturized with the sunscreen on, so it does deliver on all those aspects except for not balling or pilling up. That's the only issue, and that's my I hate it. So when it comes to complexion products, it'll work, and it'll be a nice primer slash moisturizer for any complexion product and to give you that dewy base. But if it balls or pills up, it's not gonna be a fun ride. So based on those videos and based on all that, you guys make your decision. Test it out yourself, and based on what I've said, maybe decide to give it a pass, or maybe decide that maybe you want to play around with this and see if it works for you. But all in all, I just want to say, if they fix that issue of balling or pilling up and making this easier to apply, and you don't have to think about what your skincare routine was, how long it's been since you finished it, how moisturized you are, how to rub it in, do it in different sections. And on top of that, I feel like with that being said, it's going to have people not really wanting to reapply. Especially if you have to put on all that thought and all that effort. It's like, no one's going to reapply. People are barely reapplying with sunscreens that just sink in like that. So when it comes to that, you know, I really hope they fix that issue. If they fix that issue, this would be a 10 out of 10. Like 10 out of 10 due to the ingredients and the dewy base. Beautiful. And that watermelon scent. So lovely. Now I do want to mention that the chemical UV filters in here did bother my eyes, and I was careful in putting it around. I did not set it, so that's something that might mitigate that, and a lot of people say that's what helps them. I do it sometimes, but it still bothers my eyes. It works, but not 100% guarantee in my experience. But if you're sensitive to almosalate, octisalate, or octicrylene, you might want to take that into consideration. But if you're able to test that out, definitely give it a try. I would give this an 8 out of 10. The balling issue is basically my only issue with this sunscreen. But let me know if you actually try this out. I'd be really interested in your personal experience. Alright, thank you for joining me, and I really hope you liked this video, and I hope I was able to share and shed some clarity on this new sunscreen release. Guys, have a wonderful day.